there's a strong connection between real estate and pet wellness, since we know that housing issues and lack of available pet-friendly housing are typically among the most common reasons why pets end up relinquished to animal shelters. So we kind of flagged this from the beginning that we would get here. Certainly would love to talk about this a bit, and recognizing that home ownership is one potential solution, right, to being able to have that pet-friendly option. Also want to talk a little bit about the rental side of the equation that you mentioned from your early experiences and reflections. California is currently exploring one potential solution from the rental side through a proposed bill that would prohibit landlords from blanket bans of pets in rentals. And so under this bill, landlords could only ask about pet ownership after a tenant's application had already been approved. So as someone who is deeply involved in real estate as well as animal welfare, and who helps place dogs in homes that often face breed restrictions, what are your thoughts on this proposed bill in California aimed at increasing pet-friendly housing options?
Oh, I love it. I would like this to just be a universal bill. Let's enact it now and then start passing it in every other state. The thing is, when you're looking for a rental, yes, there's these restrictions. They don't want big dogs. They want, like, small dogs are okay. There's tons of reasons why the landlord will justify. And I'm not saying that the landlord's wrong in what they're asking for. So if you have hardwood floors, any animal with nails is going to potentially scratch a floor. Cats, their urine has ammonia, so if they pee on anything, it's really hard to get out. So the landlord is trying to protect their property, right? However, renting is often much more affordable in our current economy than it would be to buy the house right now. So either you can afford a rent and you're paying your rent is going to be higher than a mortgage in most cases. So 90% of cases, your rent is going to be higher than what your mortgage would be. But then also in those same cases, a lot of people don't have that money saved up for the down payment and closing costs that it would take to buy the house. So you're in this kind of purgatory of, what do I do? I have to have some place to stay. And when someone comes to me and says, I want to get a house, I have a cane corso, and I'm like, well, that is terrible. If there were a way to approve them based on their financials and their income and their credit score like that, if we left it at that alone, and then you could not ask about the pet until after the fact, you would find out very quickly how many people are just prejudiced against the animals coming in. And I am a I have hardwood floors. We have hardwood floors throughout the entire house. And of course I was worried about that when we started just fostering, because the dogs at the shelter aren't always the cleanest or the what most well groomed. So they may not have their nails filed. And I thought about that, about it may potentially scratching the floor. And it, like, in a grand scheme of things, it's an animal who has a house now. I don't think that if he does scratch the floor, it's not gonna be the end of my world. You know what I mean? Like, my shoes too would scratch the floor. My furniture would scratch the floor. And my furniture and my shoes are inanimate objects that I don't have as much love and affection for as I do the pet that I have. Also, there's quick fixes to things like that. And just so that everyone's aware, a dog's nails do not damage a floor as much as you think they do. Whatever you're imagining, stop it. We've had Levi for, almost a year would be June, so whatever months, however many months that is. We've had Levi for a while. He has not scratched the floor. We're fine. So get it out of your head. But no, I love this bill. I think it would be great. I think it would be, and then if there's a fee, and I think it should be a minimal fee. There's a fee to have a pet after the fact. Okay, that's reasonable. It should be more of a cleaning fee than anything else. Because, but most landlords are charging that anyway. I just don't know how much more we're going to milk the consumer for a place to stay. I have a gentleman that's selling a series of his properties right now. He's owned these properties for many, many years, and he's had tenants paying in them. And he had his rents at such an affordable rate. Things I haven't seen for at least 5 years. Like one of his tenants was paying $800 a month. It's a 3 bedroom, two full bath house, like brick. And they're just great tenants. They pay him all the time. And so he never upped their rent. Like that's what we need. I need that. I need those guys back because it's just not realistic to continue to raise the price of housing with no end in sight. And this whole part about when someone tells me they have a pet, I automatically know we are going to have a much more difficult time to get you in a home because we need to disclose that. ESA animals are great. If you are in need of an emotional support animal and you can have your doctor certify that in a letter, landlords cannot deny an emotional support animal. It's not a pet. It is actually like a medically required unit. So that is one way around that. If and I can tell you, I don't have it certified, but Levi is definitely our emotional support animal. We lean on him hard on tough days. So
Thank you so much for sharing that. I absolutely agree. And as someone that, yeah, who had a large dog in my care, medium to large dog in my care for a long time and navigated the nail situation, has navigated, being someone that rents out a property as well. I think I absolutely agree with your point that the nails are, first of all, not the thing that has caused damage. In my experience, the shoes we wear, the furniture we use, right? Those
always
are
the
the kinds of
furniture.
things. Yeah.
The furniture is so much heavier. I have buffers on all the bottoms of them
Yeah.
because when I was moving everything when we moved in,
Yeah.
there's not a nail scratch in this floor.
Hmm. Hmm. I definitely hear you. And I really appreciate your point about remembering that we're creating a space for a living being, and one that is having, can be a major factor for people in terms of their ability to find a housing solution that works for them in their price point, in the geography they need, and with a member of their family. The vast majority of Americans consider animals, they're part of the family. Pets are family. And
Mhm.
I really appreciate everything that you're sharing. I certainly echo your points in terms of advice for those that are in a position to create that opportunity to, number one, recognize that the concerns are often not even a factor. And if they are, they're easily managed with cleaning, and that the benefits truly outweigh any potential concern from a wear and tear perspective. So really appreciate everything that you're sharing. And when it comes to this particular bill, I'm curious to see how this progresses, and absolutely agree, would love to see this emulated in all states. This is a tremendous need, and it supports people and animals in huge ways that are absolutely needed. So thank you so much for speaking to that. When you think about next steps, how do you believe we can further expand the availability of pet-friendly housing, recognizing the housing challenges that we just walked through that many pet owners face?
I mean, so obviously with bills like this, that would be ideal. I would like to lean on the humanity of people. And if it's almost like the where if you've never worked in the service industry, then you just don't know how to be a good customer because you've not experienced like, the person complaining about fries and how it's ruined their entire life. And you're like, I could just get you more fries. It's if you've never owned a pet or if you don't have that affinity for animals, it's hard to get you to understand why why this is such a silly requirement. And then there's always going to be a bad apple that spoils the bunch, right? There have certainly been more situations that have been expressed, because the negative is always easier for people to like go out and shout about and post about. The negative about having pets in a home that's a rental are always talked about, whereas the positives are like, oh yeah, I'm so happy that I just don't now go and post about all my happy moods. So if there's like so this post here, like I'm telling you guys right now, I've had a dog for this long and there's not been any I've done more damage to the house than the dog has. Ethan has spilled more things than Levi has ever knocked over. And if you've never like been open-minded to that, then you will start to, you kind of just lean into what you've heard of, no, pets will damage property. No, they won't. They'll dig in the yard, but I mean, it's outside. Are you mad at the squirrels too? I would just say be open-minded, but without regulatory measures from government, unfortunately, it seems as though people are not willing to just allow things to be. There are fewer people out there that are just giving me great vibe, landlords essentially, that are giving me great vibes of, I'm going to take a chance and let this person with a security. You have a security deposit. If that makes any difference to anybody that's listening, you've given the landlord, hey landlord, Mr. Landlord, Mrs. Landlord, you have a security deposit. If there really is that much damage, you'll keep the security deposit and you'll fix the problem when they're gone. Um, I can assure you there won't be. In most cases, there just won't be. And I don't know. I'd hate to just beat it to a pulp, but they just don't do the amount of damage that is attributed to them. Kids do more damage than pets do. Kids will tear a cabinet door off the cabinet just by leaning on it. I mean, and they're the same. They don't know any better.
Mhm.
These animals don't know any better. They just are running around bumping into things, but it is certainly worth it. I would not trade not having Levi for, I don't know, less fur on the ground. I can sweep. I've bought a broom.
I appreciate everything you're saying. And we both know, and just in case our listeners don't know this, that it is illegal to have any type of stipulation around children. All housing is child friendly. So what we're essentially speaking to here is that it is legal for landlords to place parameters and restrictions around pets, and yet the concerns around pets are very often not founded in research and or the realities of having an animal. And I absolutely agree with your points in terms of the spills we have, the damage we cause, right? That's absolutely been my experience. I'm the one that has, damaged the floor or spilled something, not my animals. When it comes to a couple of things that pet parents can do proactively, to the point around spillage, I have a cat that loves to knock water all over the place. Having some trays or essentially some type of mat to protect the floor from water, just like we would in a kitchen or a bathroom, the same way we protect against water damage for our own behaviors, can go a long way. We also learned during the pandemic that many of us bought HEPA filters. We'll often get the question about allergies and allergens, whether it's someone living in a pet-friendly building that needs to manage allergies, or navigating the question around bringing an animal into the home for a foster or a forever adoption, and how to manage that. HEPA filters can go a long way as well. And even thinking about having multiple in the home to help filter those allergens is a pretty cost-effective solution. I think many of us were using, whether we bought them or they were provided in our work environments, right, throughout the pandemic. So used to that approach by now. But if you're not, just do a quick search for HEPA and you'll see some good options there too. I definitely appreciate you sharing that and absolutely agree that this needs to be a priority. And as someone who is a landlord, I really hope that others in this position are having a chance to reflect on this, and certainly reach out to us if you'd like to discuss your direct situation, but would love to see more availability from a landlord perspective to help support pet parents.